Hey, what's up? It's your boy Stephen McCoy, and you are listening and watching Sessions with Stephen. And today we have the cast of He's Not Worth Dying For, which is going to be airing on Lifetime on what day is that? June 25th. I'm so
8/7
excited.
Central.
Uh, uh,
Yes.
in 7th Century, we can't forget about this. Is a worldwide film. We're so excited. We have the cast helping me out. I love it. Hey, we have Lachlan, Quarmby. We have Hilda Martin and Rachel Boyd. How are you guys?
Doing great. Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you guys here. I pretty much consider it the love triangle.
We are.
Yes.
That's exactly how to describe it. Yeah.
That's it. All the points.
Look, we watched the film, and woo, I would say this is an extremely contemporary topic. It's something that's going on all around the world,
Mhm.
even with just it being based around social media. So, talk to us about the film and what was the process like filming this, and what made you guys interested in actually being a part of this contemporary film?
Well, I think that I mean, for me, what drew me to it is exactly what you're talking about. It's very timely right now. I feel like more than ever, especially with the years that we've just spent in the pandemic and how much we've kind of had to transition our social lives onto social media entirely. It seems that there's still media being made to remind us of the dangers and to remind us of some of the past cautionary tales that have happened from social media, cyberbullying, and also when you follow those kinds of arguments and egg them on as like a viewer, it's equally as destructive in a lot of different ways.
Though it has all of those different elements in there, even the fun aspects of it. Like Rachel, you play a social media fashionista influencer,
I do.
and now this is not too far fetched from you guys' lives. I mean, you're not influencers; you guys are actual actors. But even just making a deal with designers and things of that nature, knowing your business, how much of this did you take from your own life?
Mm.
I think for me, because it's just taking like not only for mine, but for like as you said, multiple people, but like just Grace, because I was just much around Grace. Grace's life and her changes throughout that life with in the sense of like a relationship and a damaging relationship to her life. And that's what I took from mine, where like everyone, like hopefully not everyone, but like people have gone through this and trying to apply it in the sense of like where everyone could have a feel of like a part of them is grace, if that makes sense.
Hilda, were you familiar with Robin Givens prior to getting this role? Because you play her daughter.
Oh yes, yes. I knew her as an actor, not as the boxer's ex-wife, but I knew her as an actor specifically,
Hmm.
and I think like it's just for me, it's just an excitement of working with all these like women, Black women that I've been like inspired by,
Yeah.
and it's just, that is a dream come true.
What did you learn by working with her? How was it working with her during that time?
It was great. One thing I learned is like staying humble, like with everyone, and just professionalism and humbling, being humble. Um, like she is. I don't want to be very like unrealistic, but she's a ray of like sunshine because wherever she is, she's like whatever she goes through, because she was there for 4 days and she had to like be all like portray all these different emotions from loss to happiness to anger. And she did it so well without like issues with anyone and but still creating that like warm atmosphere and like laughter and jokes and like still watching me and not criticizing, just like pushing and uplifting and teaching me throughout the way and so on. Like she's a good handful of a woman
I love to hear that. Now, Lachlan, your character is something else. Okay, are you kind of almost deem yourself, would you say, to be the villain of the film in a sense?
At times, certainly. Yeah, definitely. I think the real villain here is monogamy. And if that wasn't around, Jake would have just done just fine. No, I'm kidding, obviously. I think he is a young man who makes some terrible decisions, and he almost can never get his head in line with his heart. Do you know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
that battle going on there between wanting to do the right thing and actually being able to do that. He just can't do it because he's got two young women who he's started to hold on to and cannot let go of either of them. And then obviously you're going to have problems there. So yeah, I think that he's an unintentional villain at times. Let's call him.
And one thing I thought that was such a huge topic, even with your storyline, was the fact that there was your character, that did not want things posted online, obviously for his own privacy and to play his game a lot better. But when he saw likes and comments and things of that nature, things that today this new generation does go through, have you ever been in situations like that where you had to make a sacrifice that you felt in your business that I have to upload this, people are liking this, it's not something that I really do, but since people are liking it, it's good for business? Is that something that you can relate to with your character?
I do relate to him in particularly in his first part because he is confused by social media as well, and I feel like a dinosaur sometimes with some of these social media things, and definitely a bit of a troglodyte going forward with keeping up with the times, let's call it. And so no, I've never personally felt pressured to post something for anyone else's gain. I try and just keep my social media to stuff that's for me and stuff that I like or I'm proud of, or I want other people to be updated on my life. So I haven't felt that pressure, but I do understand the kind of shock and the kind of surprise when things do start happening, like likes do start coming in, or complete strangers from the other side of the world would DM you about certain things, and there's a real like intrigue there that sometimes can be pretty addictive, and I can see why people fall into that, to be honest.
The dopamine hit.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily I've not had to deal with any of that myself.
Do you guys feel that people of the new generation will see this film and it actually mirrors who they may be? Like they may be like, wow, I didn't realize that's actually a web that I got caught up in.
I think that's the goal, right? Like we all worked really hard to make our characters real people who other people can hopefully feel seen in. I think that we're very diverse in the three characters. So, the goal is always just that somebody can watch it and see parts of themselves, good parts of themselves, and then maybe also parts of themselves that they feel that they didn't realize were hurtful before, or some of the actions that they do on social media that they didn't realize had repercussions for those people behind the screens.
Yeah. How are you ladies able to relate to your characters? I mean, you literally you were friends, right? And then there were moments where things started stirring up and there was some feelings involved. How did you guys relate to your characters as women?
Wow. Something Hilda and I, when we were filming, like we had so many conversations because it was so important to us that we never wanted the movie to look like two crazy, irrational girls who are just fighting over a boy and don't know their self-worth. And, I think a lot of times I see that in the media, and it frustrates me because I think it's so much more than that. And it's about what happens to young women when we are taught in our society that our whole self-worth has to derive from like having the exclusive love of a man. And not only that, but then on top of that, being pitted against each other as women, instead of, you know, made to feel confident and made to feel like we are independent in ourselves and confident in ourselves to walk away from situations that don't serve us good. So that was something that Hilda and I had so many conversations about. And I was really happy with how the movie turned out. I think that we shed a unique light on that story.
Hilda, would you say that this film has helped you to bond with your castmates, specifically Rachel, since you worked so closely together?
Oh yeah, I think both. I got lucky with them too. I feel like from the beginning, especially like the character, I already knew what character Rachel was, and you know, when you hear about someone who's like, is the actor going to be the same way or slightly the same way? And you like,
Right.
we've been having dialogue the whole time, and it's never, and me telling her like, even though I'm playing Grace, I do also have the same insecurity that Grace does have, in the sense of like being drowned in social media as well, and seeing like the differences and my imperfections, but her still taking it in and not being a Rachel and saying, well, I'm better than you and stuff. She's like, that conversation, that dialogue we've been having, whether it's like a fight scene and so on. And I think the end, our ending together, when we looked at each other right eye in the eye, I think that was when we like saw each other. And I think that was the first moment where like Rachel and Isla and Grace kind of like created that connection that I really wished was there from the beginning, if only Jake wasn't in the picture. But I'd say the same for Jake as well. Lachlan as well. Same thing. I already watched the documentary and I knew what kind of guy Jake would have been. And I think that whole like respect of like, he had that manly respect, which like was totally different from the character himself. And him talking about like how the character, like being the character affected him when the movie ended, of like losing both me and Isla, like in reality losing me and Rachel because the movie was ending, and just having that sensitivity just made it.
How long, speaking of the fight scene, because you brought it up, how long did it take to rehearse those scenes?
Oh my, you wouldn't believe it, but
on the spot.
Hilda and I, on the
Really?
spot, we were taught 5 minutes before filming, we were taught the sequences with our stunt partners, and we shot it just like that. And it was super crazy. But you know what? I think that was the last day. We shot that on the last day. And I think that we both were just like, we had so much like drive, and like we were ready to bring it. So we were really swinging right from the beginning there.
And it looks a lot complicated, but I think like the best part of it is like they gave us like, even though it's like a 5-minute like lesson thing, they like were very slow and steady and making sure like A, we're safe, B, like we were comfortable with every single position. Even though I woke up sore, like even though I didn't get punched
it was
once,
a workout.
that was a workout.
Lachlan, when Rachel had you on the bed, and remember the scene when she had the knife? Now, were there times during that scene like, okay, listen, you have to be careful with this?
With the knife, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it was pretty good. So they had the one real knife, and then they had the prop knife as well.
Oh, okay, with the prop.
That one at the time was the real knife, actually. And yeah, it was a bit, I'm not the kind of guy who carries around a knife myself. So it was a bit of a thing for both of us to be like, oh, this thing is a little bit scary right now. Let's everyone just take it easy and be calm. But I will say about their fight scene was that they didn't add the fact that it was probably like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, freezing cold out on the front lawn.
The last scene we shot.
And they both just dove right in and nailed it, So yeah, very professional. Very awesome.
It's a lot of anticipation building up around this, considering the fact just alone that it does deal with social media and things. But I want to ask you, out of the two females, I'm sure people want to know, who is the best kisser?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I don't know if I could say it.
Jake,
Well,
come out.
I will say honestly, usually I would throw in a joke here and say something ridiculous. Like I'm the best kisser, so it doesn't matter. But the truth is that it was a different style of kissing to very different women. You know, there was different ways in which Jake and his relationships connected. So you know, that was a unique thing that we discussed on set was with the director as well. Is like, how does he kiss Isla? How does he kiss Grace? And what's the differences there? And how will the audience see that? This is a guy who doesn't treat every girl the same. He
Right,
actually
right.
does. He does treat them both individually and differently.
Yes, I
Um,
actually I'm so glad that you mentioned that because that was something that I was able to see on camera, which is
oh, good.
where you see, let's say there's two people that's watching a film, you might have your favorite and I may have my favorite, and I'm literally getting caught up in I think he might like her more. And you know, that's actually the exciting thing about watching it and watching it grow.
Oh,
So,
perfect. I'm so
yeah.
happy you said that because that's what. Yeah, we discussed that a lot.
What do you feel that people would take away from your characters and the film overall?
I hope they take away the fact that they should keep doing them. I think, like as the story, like as the movie title, it says that he's not worth dying for. He's not worth losing your life for. He's not worth changing who you are for. If like you're on a path to your own kind of success, I think if someone's in the middle of that and you were doing well before then, keep doing you, no matter what age and stage of life you are in. I think, like specifically, a Grace type of person.
I think there's plenty to take away from the film. Look, I kind of like what you said, how every individual person can maybe take something different or take what they liked. But I would hope personally that people would just take perspective and just take a deeper understanding of how social media can affect not only the people involved but the people around them as well. And just the fact that, like Hilda said, it's not worth it. And if you can just let it go and get past it, you will look back on it and you will be shocked to remember how deeply invested you were at the time and
Yeah,
how much in hindsight it wasn't worth it and it didn't matter.
very true. How about you, Rach?
You know, Helen Mirren always says that you should have like a secret narrative to your character and something that you really want people to take away from your characters in these projects. And for me, that was always this is what it looks like for somebody who is always seeking that is always seeking the one thing that they can't give themselves. So for Isla, that was love and validation. And where did she seek it from was very, very much in that
Yeah,
social media world, in the
yeah.
likes, in the comments, in boys as well. And I think what I would want people to see is like, this is a real representation of an experience that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
In when we keep looking for those things, we should really be trying very hard to figure out ways where we can provide them for ourselves, because nobody will ever be able to fill that void for you,
Ooh,
or
I
and
love
nothing
that.
else. Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely love that. I feel a lot of people are truly going to see themselves watching this film. Seriously, and you all did such an amazing job just being able to display that story, a story that's happening today. That so many are, you know, whether it's just social media, relationships, love triangles, good people getting into situations, not knowing which one to choose. And I mean these stories are real, so I really hope everyone tune in. I thank you guys so much for coming on to Sessions with Steven. The film, it airs on June 25th. at 8 p.m., 7 Central on Lifetime. So thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
on.
Stephen.
We
Thanks,
appreciate
Stephen.
you guys. Thank you. Hey, subscribe now.